Okay, today we are doing 5.7 and we're talking about transformations. And a transformation is just when you are changing a shape. And we're going to focus on 3 ways to do that. They are called translation, rotation, and reflection. Okay, if we look at this diagram, we can see that a translation is a slide. So if we start at red, which is the original, we are going to slide it, which gives us the blue. The next type that we can look at is a rotation. And this is going to be turning a figure around a point. And that point is called the center of rotation. So if you can see in this picture, we start at the red. This dot here is our center of rotation, and we are turning it. And we'll usually tell you like 90 degrees around the x-axis, around the point of origin. Alright, the last one that we are going to focus on is called a reflection. And a reflection is when you flip the figure across a line. So you can kind of think of this as a mirror. It mirrors the image. So if we look back at this example, we have the red. We are reflecting it over this black line, which gives us a flip or a mirror image of it. Alright, let's see if we can identify some of these transformations. So let's start with A. If we look here, the red one is going to be our original, and our blue one is after the transformation. So if we look at this first one, this one is just going to be a slide, so they just moved that figure over. So this is called a translation. Alright, let's look at B. If we look at B, again, the red is the original and the blue is the new. If we look at it, it looks like it's been slid to a new position, but now our object is smaller. And we didn't identify anything that was like that, so this is actually none of these. It isn't any of the 3 that we've been working with. Alright, I want to see if you can do C and D on your own. See if you can figure out what those would be. If we look at C, again, here's our original, and this looks like it's been moved or rotated. So this one is just going to be a rotation. And here they're not giving you your center of rotation. In D, it almost looks like it's been slid, but if you notice, our points are flip-flopped. So they're mirroring each other, so this is going to be a reflection. Okay, so now we're going to try to do our own transformations. So we are going to use the image right here, this triangle A, B, C, and then it's going to tell us which transformation to do. So for example, it says translation, which if we can think this means the slide, along BC, so that B coincides with C. And this means our new B that we make. So if I do this, I'm going to do this in a different color so that it looks different. So I want B and C to be on the same line. So I can make this line, and this can be B and C, my new. And my A, I want to be in the same place as well. And then I'm just going to connect those 2 points, and that would make my slide. Alright, reflection. Our reflection is our flip. And we want to flip across line segment A, B. So I want A and B to be in the same exact spot, my new ones. and my C is going to be flipped onto the other side. We're going to do more practice with these in class, and we're going to be using a coordinate plane, so it's going to look like this, and it'll be a little bit easier to do. Okay, now we're going to do a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation around point C. So they're telling me that my point, or my center of rotation is C, so this is the point that I'm going to look at. And if I think of like a normal clock, counterclockwise is going backwards. So I want to move it underneath it. So if I do this in 90 degrees, this will be a little bit easier again when we do this in class and we have the coordinate plane. But this is going to be my C. And then if all of this moves, my A would come down here, and my B would be next to it. So this would be my new figure. Okay, so here's an example of graphing transformations. So first we're going to start by graphing these three ordered pairs. So remember, it always goes x comma y. So I would go 2 to the right, and I would go up 1 and make my point. 3 to the right, and then go up 3, and then finally 1 to the right, and go up 2. And then I can connect these, and you can see that we are going to have a triangle. Now this first one is telling me that I want to do a translation. So this is your slide, and I want to go 3 units down. So that means I want to take all of these points and I want to move them down. So if I look here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and the point hits at 3, 0. I'm going to do the same for the other ones. I'm just going to move them all down 3, and I'm just doing that by counting 3 down. So why don't you try B? Okay, in this one we're doing a reflection. So remember, a reflection is a flip. And if I'm going across the y-axis, this is the vertical line. So I want to basically take everything and put it on the other side. So I still want to have these points of 2, 1, 3, 3, and 1, 2. But what we can think about is, since I'm going over the y-axis, I'm just going to be changing that x point. So I go from a positive 2 to a negative 2. So I'm going to do negative 2, 1. And there's my new point. The next one would be negative 3, 3. Alright, and then the last one, negative 1, 2. So here is my reflection, or that mirroring image, across the y-axis. If you were to reflect across the x-axis, you would change the y coordinate. So just like here, how we changed all these x's to the opposite, if we were doing y, we would do the opposite of the, if we were reflecting across the x-axis, we would do the opposite of the y coordinate. Okay, the last one I want to do is a 180-degree rotation around 0, 0. And we know that 180 degrees is a straight line. So if I think about this, if I move this down, that's 90 degrees. So then I have to go over again for another 90 degrees, because that would add up to 180. So I want my ordered pair, or my new ordered pairs, to be in this quadrant right here. Okay. Here are the original ordered pairs, and since I want this to be completely opposite, I need to change or take the opposite of both of these numbers. So after I do my rotation, my new ordered pairs that I'm going to graph are the complete opposite. So I'm going to do negative 2, negative 1, negative 3, negative 3, and negative 1, negative 2. So again, they both change. You can now fill out your exit slip and we will do homework in class tomorrow.